How does culture influence marketing?
It will always be relevant purely because of the fact that it helps keep you honest. It keeps you at the curve of what is going on.
Marketing needs to move at the speed of culture,
which plays a role in shaping our sense.
Welcome to the Culture Code podcast. In this podcast, we'll be telling stories of how influential culture is in business. You'll hear from some of the African culture curators on how culture can be used to drive good results through marketing and advertising campaigns. Now, here's the host of the Culture Code podcast, Jabu Sigege.
Folks, welcome. On today's episode, we're hanging out with Jabu Sigege. Jabu Sigege is a group ECD at Machine, one of Publicis, offshoot? What do you call them? What do you call them these days?
Just one of the, it's an agency, Publicis being the holding group. Yeah. So the number of agencies. And we're one of the agencies, and dare I say, one of the agency within the group.
Oh, the agency. Welcome, Jebs. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, you're good.
Thanks for having me on your show. And I'm always looking forward to the discussions here. So, to be able to discuss it with you,
Lovely, brother. Something. Yeah. So that's you there. You are on the driver's seat. You are driving this bus today. So yeah, it's all about you today. Yeah. So you're driving this bus. I hope you are in safe hands.
Okay. No, I hope so too.
Yeah, Jebs, you're a Cape Townian through and through. You and you're telling me you never really actually worked in Joburg. You never came down this side?
No, I've never come and actually worked and been I am employed by an agency here in Joburg. I've always, having grown up in Cape Town, and once I entered the industry, I would kind of see all the creators of color leaving because Joburg, the city of lights, kind of brighter opportunities.
Yeah.
I think I made a conscious decision to stay and go, I'm going to establish my career here because, if everybody leaves, who's going to help change the status quo?
Oh, geez, man, that's a nice one, eh? Then they must be paying you quite well, though, eh? Because you know what? I think apparently Cape Town doesn't pay that well across all industries, apparently.
I don't think anybody would ever say they paid enough, but I don't know. I guess Joburg being the economic hub, it would be, and I think the parity there is probably it's more. But you don't really, you do it obviously you've got to pay the bills, but in advertising, you actually also do it for the love because it's only the love for what you do that carries you through some turbulent times.
100. Yeah. Unlike you could have been an engineer, Jebs, and then you'd be dying. I'm like, fuck. Why the hell am I in this? But you chose your path. You chose something that you really, really, really love. And you were telling me the other day that you went to an all-colored school. If I can use that word. Oh, our producer is colored. So yeah, is it fine? If I say that, or should I say you are black?
It's down to the individual. I have this debate all the time.
Yeah.
As people tell me I'm white, I say I'm black.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Cool stuff. Yeah. So you went to a all-colored school. Is it high school? And you didn't also speak any. You didn't study any vernac.
Yeah, well, I think when it was it's called grade 1 now, but there weren't any, at the time when my mother wanted to enroll me in school, there weren't any openings in the schools around my area. I stayed in Guguletu, so that's where I'm from, but there weren't any openings, so went to a school that was predominantly colored, so colored and black kids, and called Vanguard Primary in Welcome Estate. And so I did my first 2 grades, and it was a dual medium school.
Yeah.
And the only space was available in the Afrikaans class, so my first 2 years.
Yeah.
So I learned maths, I learned how to count in Afrikaans.
Jeez,
so I didn't learn, so literally, I only because Xhosa is my home language, so obviously at home I spoke Xhosa, but I didn't learn how to actually write it until much later.
Yeah. So can you praat no? You can praat?
Yeah, I can praat.
Yeah.
Savor Afrikaans.
Proper. Yeah. I can't praat.
I can tell.
I can't praat. So I think my phrasing was wrong. Hey.
What you were phrasing there?
Yeah. It's wrong. Like that's how you can tell.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from Mafikeng, and there's no Afrikaans there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's none of that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, how do you get in advertising? How do you, where did the love start? I mean, how did you know about this? I mean, you just spoke now about the status quo being, people leaving, which also I would think there isn't a lot of people doing advertising, especially black. Yeah.
So I think it's gotten better over the years, but it was different when I started, and so you can imagine, kind of industry veterans and icons such as your like Wing Blula or Neo Mashiko. So when those guys started, you can imagine there was less representation. And as you all know, like representation does matter, because if you see people like you in the thing, then you're also going to go, so I can also be capable of being in that space and achieving that. So I think it started advertising, I think most people my age knew it from seeing it in generations. Right, yeah. You're like, oh, it's this glamorous thing. Obviously, you don't know the ins and outs.
Yeah.
But, I think, I always used to think like advertising, you're either in front of the camera as the person in the ad, or you're behind it as the person shooting it. So didn't know about that other whole world in between, about the people who create the ads. So I only found out when there was somebody who used to stay in Res with us, David Gao, and then he appeared and he was a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
And he appeared, I think, in a Toyota ad.
Oh.
And then just asked him about it, and then found out this whole other world. That's when I was busy studying, doing BCom information systems.
Sure.
So, I wasn't loving stats.
So you are not far off though, BCom, communications, right?
No, it was BCom information systems.
Jeez, wow.
So I was studying that, and then I switched to film media and visual studies, a BA after that, to kind of get into because I'd always had, I think, a love for languages and affinity for languages, English, Afrikaans, Xhosa, and I just love how the, kind of what you say can actually convince people to do something.
Yeah.
You know how it is, like, shell. So, I mean, if you can use your words for good.
Yeah.
So, that's how I got it. Then I saw an ad in a supplement in the Cape Times, it's Cape Town newspaper.
Yeah.
I think it was called, it was not Job Shop, for Career Times.
Yeah.
There was an ad for a bursary scholarship, bursary scholarship at the Red and Yellow School in Cape Town. So I went, found out there was a week to go before the closing dates.
This is now, so now you're leaving the where you're doing your BCom.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then did that, and so wrote the tests within a week, submitted it, and then kind of was submitted on a Friday, 10 to 5 before the office closed.
Yeah.
And then I got a call the next week from, I think, the legendary Brian Sill Tripp.
Yeah.
And he was like, come through for an interview. Sat and spoke to him. He was a fascinating guy. Really liked his energy. Seemed to like mine as well. And then that was my foray into my start.
That was it.
Into the advertising world.
Yeah. And how's it going so far? You know how they do it? They say how it started and how it's going. Currently this is how it's going. How is it going now?
I think how it's going is, it's everything's got its ups and downs. It's not gonna be all ice cream.
Yeah.
But I think I'm still here and I'm doing it because I love it. I don't think there's anywhere I'd rather be at this point in time, and because, as I said, where else can you get to have your work, your thoughts come to life to help move people, because that's what we do. Whether it moves people by making them laugh, by making them feel something, with some kind of emotion, or makes them think or see the world in a different way. And I think that's a very kind of fortunate and privileged position to be in. I mean, where else can you get somebody waking up to work in a bank? That they don't get to do that.
One club. I see you got Art Club.
Oh yes, Art Club. It's a brand, Cape Town brand.
Oh, it's a Cape Town brand. Yeah. So it has nothing to do with One Club.
Oh no, not One Club for Creativity. No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool, man. Yeah. So you are with Machine, and you say Machine is a publicist. Because I've always wondered, Machine, what? And Machine has been there. Hey, is it newish?
No, it's been around. I think since the early kind of 2010s. So it's been around since then. But it then got acquired by Publicis Group around about like the maybe 2014, 2015 or so. Because I only joined end of 2021. So basically, but there's like a whole new kind of like new management team after 2020 and forth. So yeah.
And your role, you a group ECD. What does an ECD do? On I think for our young viewers, I think you are a black guy, and who's doing great things in advertising. And I think part of the show is also to kind of educate the young people, the ones that are coming up. I mean, I heard you talk about now you just spoke about how changing the status quo. So what does an ECD group because I would think it's what Joburg and Cape Town.
Yeah,
for
that's
both
correct.
of them.
So I mean, like an executive creative director looks after. They're like basically like the creative leader, the creative guide, for in terms of like the creative vision for the agency. They help set that, along with the kind of like the other leadership, the members of the leadership team. But ultimately, you're responsible for the creative output and the product that comes out, and the standard and the quality. Helping people to learn how to think better. When they conceptualize ideas, you kind of like, you basically and you also in a sense, you also become, you've got account management, client service, but you've got to be able to do that role as well at times, because sometimes you've got to be able to sell in the work. And sometimes, clients can be hesitant because they, it's natural to be fearful sometimes, or go, what if? And they go, what if? I have to help them go, what if? In the positive sense, and so that they can imagine the possibilities of what happens when things do go right. So basically that's it, So, and I work across both offices in Cape Town and Joburg, overseeing both kind of teams of creatives, and also just like connecting, always work with like account management and the strategists, so that we bring that creative product to life.
And I know that Publicis there's a Publicis Africa is what Africa Group or something. And I saw that recently you did an ad with Spotify, and I know that, I mean, like I'm saying, so you guys sit on the continent, and now you guys did Spotify here. So how does that work? I mean, I would think if you guys are saying you sitting on the continent, that piece of work would have been done in Nigeria, for instance, by a Nigerian agency. How did it end up now being done in Machine
South Africa? So, I mean, like with the Publicis Group, it's Publicis Group Africa, and it's got other agencies and affiliates within the continent. But with the Spotify Africa account, it's run out of South Africa. But when we have to do work for Spotify Nigeria, we work with the brand manager that side. And we've also got teams and strategists that are also based in the country, in Nigeria, where we can call on them, and then we work with them. We kind of like, we find out like the insights and everything. And we work with them to make sure that we get the right talent, so that when it comes down to it, the ad feels authentic. It feels like it's made for Nigerians as well, so that there's not kind of like a copy and paste. And it's all about being able to tap into that network, because I mean, the Publicis Group has said like it's across Africa. In fact, at the Luries, it was actually network of the year. So being able to have that, because Machine's able to kind of maneuver like an independent, but has the backing of like the resources of the group. So like that's like an advantage that we have, and we actually do use to our we used to like to make the magic happen.
Because I was wondering, like, I mean, okay, these guys, I mean, on the culture point of view, I mean, how is it? But I mean, I think you just answered in the sense that, so we have strategists that sits that side, or brand managers that sits that side, and then people who are sitting also this side. So you are able to kind of like, but the talent, and I saw, my barber was a cast on your ad.
Oh, really?
I saw him.
So I mean, we've got our strategy lead this side, Tafadzwa. So, but she connects with the strategy lead that side. So again, it's all about the collaboration. So we collaborate here within our own agency, and we collaborate with the other agencies. And in terms of, because like Nigeria also has like this rule where if you're not shooting in the country, your cast, wherever you're shooting, if the ad is to fly to Nigeria, has to be 100% Nigerian. So we can't get around that, the paperwork, because people have to produce their birth certificates.
Sure.
So everything.
I see.
So that's what also then makes sure that our product is, it feels authentic. Yeah.
So how big is the machine office Nigeria? Is it a because like there's this thing where and I'm not trying to be political. I know that sometimes we have an agency based in South Africa, Joburg, and then they say we have an agency or we have a footprint in Nigeria, whereas we have like a little studio. It's not even about. Is it a proper?
No, it's a proper
proper
office. In fact, right now in the Joburg office, we've got teams from that side.
Yeah.
There's probably about 12 people,
Yeah.
12 or 11 people, like a whole soccer squad, that are down here in the Cape Town office. So some are actually from our offices in Kenya as well. So, and we're actually working, because we're working on the latest kind of like Spotify brief. So it's nice to actually have them in the office and could brainstorm with them.
Yeah.
They're down here, so they're down here for about 2 weeks. So it's a proper outfit, it's a proper office.
Yeah. Okay. And Public is quite intentional about the playing like on the continent. I mean, I saw there's a guy. What's his name? There's these Crystal Awards. I think
Yes, the African Crystal Awards.
African Crystal Awards.
Yes,
You guys played there, and you what, third or something?
Oh no, we were like we were the
Overall.
We were the network.
Yeah,
So
I'm
yes,
saying
yeah.
I heard it here. But I don't know whether you were third or but you were part of the guys top. Is it top 5 or something like that?
Yeah. It was not exactly. It's also slipped my
Yeah,
mind.
fuck it. No, let's look it up.
Yeah.
I think I have it here. I have it here somewhere.
But I definitely know that we were the network, like the network of the year there as well.
Yeah.
And our CEO, I think, was also Ku Governess. She was also there, selected to be a judge on the panel amongst like these, these kind of big shots.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. No. Lovely, man. And how's the work? How's the work out in on the continent? Because I know South Africa to be like the hub. Like we're super creative out here. Or am I being biased?
No, we are super creative, but as something as and I mean, we tend to show up at awards shows, but of late, like the last one, it was a couple of months back. Kind of like we wouldn't show up as strongly as we had before.
Yeah.
Kind of like in previous years.
Yeah.
And in fact, that kind of like now, I think with the Luries which were just kind of like last week, the way that we showed up there, compared to Middle East, we were kind of like we came up short.
Yeah.
So it's not to say there wasn't kind of good work.
Yeah.
But I don't think potentially where the standard lived up again, kind of like where we think we should be. So, and I think it's a wake up call, just for all of us to kind of like to sharpen our pencils, kind of like tighten what we're doing, so that we really kind of, I guess, more intentional about what we're doing and thinking about it and going and beyond just kind of the craft, but going, what is that idea? What is the purpose of it? I'm not going purpose-driven marketing necessarily. I'm just going, what is the purpose of it? Yeah. So that's something I know it's hard to digest, I think, for most of our industry, like after last weekend. But I think everybody's going to go back and go, actually, let's do this. Let's make it better.
Well, I think there's an issue there, though, because I mean, I think Ken didn't quite, live up to the previous years.
Yeah.
Now the Luries, now he's saying the Middle East, they kind of came full force.
Yeah.
They and one would think Middle East, you would think, social issues. you would think they got lots of problems there. Then
but that's the thing with those problems, they're using their creativity to help solve them.
Yeah.
And maybe it's to go, we don't necessarily, we've also got social issues. Maybe not as much, or maybe not as intense as the Middle East, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that we use our creativity to solve. We should be solving some of those social issues, but also, again, creativity is about entertainment. So, what is it that we are doing to both entertain and sell the products and services?
Yeah.
So that's something, again, it's going to require introspection, and with that introspection, then hopefully comes a new desire and a new way of doing things.
Yeah. And out at the Luries, you are judging digital and
digital craft.
Digital craft. Yeah. And how was South Africa compared to those guys? And particularly, I think for South Africa, Africa, and the Middle East. What was the difference?
I think, again, it's like with the digital, and also that can also come down to budgets. Like, let's be realistic. I think Middle East has got bigger budgets.
Oh, they got money?
Yeah, they got money.
Yeah.
They got money.
Okay.
So, but I think with the way they just also thought about things, like I said, like with those ideas, and I think it's also telling the story of the campaign. They're also very good at that. So, with some of the work that came through, like where, because one of the it's the kind of like the criteria. There's kind of 4 pillars, but the very first one, like the thing we look at is with innovation.
Yeah.
It's across all work at the Lorries, and especially like in digital, because kind of like you can use tech for anything, but how do you make an idea come to life using the tech?
Right.
And that's the thing, because sometimes you go, is it tech for tech's sake, for tech's sake, or is it tech that's helping to solve an issue or problem? And that's sometimes you go, look, damn, like I didn't think, like for instance with a newspaper, a newspaper, like from the Middle East, where Lebanon hasn't had a sitting president for about 2 years, where they used AI based on the journalism and writing from like the editors and thought leaders who had written the newspaper, and they created from that, they basically create like an AI president. So because the paper is known for its unbiased reporting, actually then sitting parliamentarians started using that AI in sessions to help them answer questions like, how can we address, like the food crisis or so forth? And it would spit out these kind of like these inclusive and unbiased answers.
Jeez.
So again, that's how using tech to like solve a problem.
And that's a real campaign.
That's a real campaign.
Jeez.
Yeah. Like some of that's one of the ones that stood out for me. There was another one from Kenya where when kids go to school, and it's like when basically their parents, because they don't earn that much money, but kids also then have to eat at school.
Yeah.
So basically if a meals cost like 5 shillings, the parents can kind of log in using their phones, they load money onto the site. The kids have got these watches that they wear, simple watches. Basically they're like RFID bands. And at school they just tap to get their meal. So the kids don't have to worry about losing the money or getting robbed or anything. Again, it's kind of like hacking tech to solve an actual problem. And there were some pieces from South Africa as well, kind of like to sell products and do stuff. But so I think the ones from the Middle East were kind of head and shoulders above us. But in previous years, we've had some very, very, very strong campaigns that came out from South Africa that even showed up at the likes of international shows like DNAD or One Show or Can. So so it's that thing of if we've kind of like maybe taken a tumble, it's time to dust ourselves off and we do it again.
And do you have any idea one idea that kind of, or maybe ideas 2 or 3 or whatever, that stood out now this year at the Louis South African?
I would say there was some very nice pieces. Trying to think now. Yeah, it's like it's a you know the stuff, and then but you have to. I
saw the Wimpy stuff. Wimpy, was Wimpy doing.
Yeah, Wimpy had some interesting stuff with the banners using Vernac.
Yeah.
Radio, of course, we always we kind of always seem to dominate that.
No, but I wanted to talk about your category, digital.
Oh, just like digital, yeah. There was something done by Parker. Called Signature Sounds, which was
who's Parker?
Parker the pens.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh.
So they you see how AI is coming up, where they recreated the voices of Irish poet Dylan Thomas, the author of Sherlock Holmes, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and there was somebody else. I'll lie. I might be saying Ernest Hemingway. I'm not sure.
Wow.
But there were 3 figures.
What agency was that?
I can't even remember the agencies now.
Wow, jeez, man.
But they recreated, and then they got them to basically then you these kind of lost writings by these authors that we hadn't heard before, seen.
Yeah.
They recreated them, and their voices brought them to life.
Wow.
So, and they did that, obviously using different recordings, and the AI analyzed and recreated the voice.
Jeez.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's still good stuff out there for South Africa. Yeah. Jeez, man.
Can we just sit with that one quickly for a second, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
So the story of, for example, the RFIDs, right? That's obviously application of creative to solve
a problem. Yeah.
Right. The Parker story is application of creative to create an aspiration or for the beauty of art
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
And the question about, so why were we topped as South African? You said maybe it's time to dust ourselves off and start from scratch.
Yeah.
Have we maybe lost the need? I'm prompting something for you to
Yeah.
go for. Have we lost the need to solve problems, and have we become more creatively driven for the sake of creating?
I like that. I like that. So yeah. No, but then you've asked the question. The question is there. No, but yeah, I think the question then is it's the when you talk about the watches
A Parker, yeah.
No.
Yes, like it's the RFID, the watches, yeah.
And now the RFID is like it's a solution, it's a creative solution that's solving a problem.
Yes.
I think that's the best idea, right?
Yeah.
And now the Parker idea is like it's a very clever, creative idea. And I don't wanna, I'm not taking too much away from it as it's solving a solution. It's more like it's a creative idea, and the difference between the Parker and the watch idea is that the watch idea is solving a problem.
Yeah.
The Parker idea, it's a insanely creative idea. It's not necessarily solving any
It's not really solving a creative problem.
there. Now, I think the question now, let me land this plane, is that are we also the reason why? Could it be that the reason why we're not winning, South African agents are not winning awards, is that they're not necessarily solving problems. Most of these ideas are more playing around. Let's be clever. Let's show our peers how clever we are and whatnot. Do you think that's a thing there?
I mean, you're taking me to dangerous territory here. But I think with that kind of thing, with that kind of provocation, when you go, is the stuff that topped us and beat us from other regions beating us because they solved the problems that existed?
Yeah.
Maybe it is. Maybe they resonated more. Maybe it was what the idea of creativity in that was very clear. Whereas you're saying with this kind of, maybe it felt self-indulgent.
Yeah.
But I think with creativity, it's also about kind of pushing boundaries. And sometimes it doesn't have to solve a social ill. It's great when it does.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes you do need that space where, if it's going to build the brand, because we are in service of brands, if it's going to build the brand love and brand equity and actually show you and go and make that brand memorable, maybe that is the problem that is being solved.
Okay.
So it doesn't need to be like a hard kind of physical problem. But maybe the problem was the brand managers, marketing managers maybe they were going, you know what, Parker Pens, nobody thinks about us anymore. And maybe that's why, and that's the problem that gets solved.
Yeah.
So I think it's different levels of problems, different types of problems, and creativity is being used to solve them in their respective ways.
Yeah.
So I don't think the one is probably weighted in the other. The one will feel weighted in the other because obviously of the social issue, social component linked to it. And I think it's something that's also you've seen happen at Cannes, where for the past couple of years, until I would say around about this year, lots of the big stuff that was winning was very purpose-driven work.
Yeah.
Kind of very solemn, very weighty. That kind of stuff still won this year, but there's also lots of stuff that's also entertaining. Things from like Heinz.
Yeah.
That's not solving a social ill. It's just literally selling more of the product.
Yeah.
So I think there's room for each kind of thing. But I think it's just when we do tackle the things, that aren't necessarily where we're tackling social ills. It's just how strong the idea is.
Ha ha ha. That's Heinz. Oh, it must be Heinz.
Yeah.
But I think that campaign though, what do you think about that campaign? I think now that we are on Heinz, what do you think about Heinz? The recent campaign now with the, you saw the ha 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 campaign.
Is it the one for Halloween, the Joker?
Yes, the Joker. Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't think I have many thoughts in it. I mean, I saw it and it was like, I could see what they were doing with the Joker. So and I think obviously in a charged environment such as the United States, I guess it wasn't raised in the room, or the right people might not have been in the room to go, potentially this one with the black male, that cannot fly because of, the kind of to You know, like it's too similar to like the Sambo or kind of gollywog cartoons. Because the other ones, they would have been fine because of those are non-black people.
Yeah.
But that particular one was just too close. I think that's what's opened the can of worms. So, because sometimes they have to, like, you know, people have to look at it and you know, you have to have the right people in the room to stop something from happening like that. I mean, I remember years ago, probably like over a decade ago, at an agency, and then I think one of our clients was a furniture brand. And then somebody came to me, I got asked a question about, they were trying to do these print ads, and this person had an idea about like how the chairs are so comfortable, even when you're uncomfortable, you can sit on them. And they were asking, would it be offensive if you had a nicely dressed, like, you know, like when you come back from the mountain in Xhosa culture, you know, you dress up with like in the suit, you know, and the hat. If you had, you know, come to somebody like a newly minted man who's come back, and they're sitting on the couch with their legs crossed, would that be offensive? And I was like, yes, that would be offensive.
But why though? Yeah, you just got cut off. Well, not cut off, but you just got.
So you know, and I kind of started to think.
But why would that person? Why would you cross your legs again now?
You see, that's the thing. That's because I don't know if the person was thinking that, you know, like when you're sitting like that, you kind of, when you come back, you know, you are still hurting and things like that. But you see, it's like when you don't have like the insights into the culture, you'll want to potentially appropriate something. So you're not tapping into it. Potentially that was actually appropriation, and they would have used it in a very wrong manner. So it was like, no, don't actually do that. So so those are the kind of things, because that's why you need like the right people in the rooms at times. Like a sense check. I mean, there's an ad we did for an insurance car ad, and basically we were a team of guys, and so was our creative director at the time. And there was a scene where, like, it kind of alluded to the car being, you know, like the woman like being like a car, but there was this one line which we thought as guys at the time was funny, and then but we were like, no, let's run it past, you know, some kind of like woman in the agency. And it's like, no, like everything's fine except this one line that we all thought as guys was funny. Like, no, that's actually quite offensive. We're like, okay, cool. So again, it's being able to go and realize that you don't know everything, you know, and I think that's why the collaboration and talking to people is very important, because you can't be an island and think that you are the arbiter and you know everything around that, you know. So, and again, the converse of that is that, you know, statues aren't built by committees. Great things aren't done by a whole lot of people.
That.
So you can have the people working.
Built by committee.
Yeah, the people working to build the thing. But at the end of the day, there have to be certain people making key decisions. Those key decisions can't be made by everybody.
And funny, I think at around the same time that when the ad was being released, the Heinz ad, it was Black History Month.
So I think that also then like fueled. Was it Black History Month?
I think out in the UK.
Okay. So that kind of.
Because I mean, I think they ran the ad was what they broke out in the US, and then I think it went.
Because I think it just came out now when Joker 2 just came out.
Yes. And then apparently the idea was around Joker, the movie. Blah, blah.
But
Jeez, man. Wow. Okay. Jeez. I think we still maybe go deeper and maybe take us through the judging experience, the Lurie's the Lurie's chop. How's culture work out there? I think on the overall or culture executions that came through this year. Were they a lot of them? Do you play in culture, hey?
What do you mean, like in terms of like the agency?
Machine,
Yeah, definitely. And I think the work that came through the most really with our culture, funny enough, again, was the Middle East. You know, again, like with, you know, like for instance, the one thing that won their taboo totes, where it's kind of, well, taboo to talk about or kind of like even kind of display or show feminine hygiene products. And this kind of like, and like even like with the case study, it showed, you know, how people were comparing, going like, you've got to hide that. We don't want to see that. And you show like when people go to the shops to buy it, it gets put into like a brown paper bag, so you can't see it. And this brand is like, why is it like it's a natural thing? So why do we have to like hide it? So they created like, using again how you use influencers, a very creative way where like whether they were going to go be on runways or like on kind of like on kind of like when these shows where they stand in front of that wall and they get interviewed. So they got given these clear tote bags so that you could see with their lipstick and everything else, because women do carry feminine hygiene products, and you could see them in the bag.
Sure.
So, very kind of daring. And then you saw the reaction. People were like, you should be ashamed of yourself. Both men and women were commenting how this is sinful, how it's disgraceful. Like, what your parents are ashamed of you. But, it broke the taboo around it. And actually, like, it changed perceptions. Because, of course, that some people, there'll always be a backlash against something like that. But ultimately, it did actually kind of break down the kind of notion that this is something to where it's like like this kind of dirty secret.
And this piece of work was print?
I know it was like a digital campaign, social media. So because that's how obviously it gets out there.
Influencers.
So influencers. So and I think obviously it also won in PR. So that kind of thing. So that's where like those kind of the culture aspects kind of they came through. So there weren't many actually from SA. They were kind of like tapping into that. So maybe besides there was from Game where they are on Roblox, like Roblox, and they put in all South African kinds of things. So in this game, Roblox, I mean, you would find there people on the game, like, people selling Amagip on the streets. There were taxis, there were kind of like potholes, there was load shedding you had to avoid, kind of like queues. So that kind of like the South African thing came in very kind of nicely in there.
So this is what, Roblox South Africa?
Yeah.
Wow. Jeez, man.
So basically like the creator of this world that was basically just South Africa in there.
And this is also still social, digital.
Yeah, so this is in games, gamification.
Gamification.
Gamification. So there was a lot of stuff, but I don't think there was anything. I know there wasn't anything that was kind of, you go, like, that's kind of like purely South African. There was some like that did solve some problem, kind of tackled some South African issues, like with the VW, the night school, where they found like this kind of stat where they found that most of accidents happened at night in SA, but why are driving lessons during the day? So they created a driving school at night, so you learn how to navigate at night.
So this is VW?
Yeah, it's a VW. So they literally created like a night school, so people could go there, do their driving lessons there. So they worked with like the Advanced Driving Academy, with VW, and people got their, what's it called? They got their I guess their license, their learner's license and everything, or their driver's license. If they pass that course, naked insurance would lower the premiums. So again, you can say that's tackling like a real world kind of like something problem, like in SA, but also helping boost because it wasn't about selling cars; it was trying to alleviate like a problem, reduce accidents on the road.
Sure.
So yeah,
and that's Ogilvy.
Yes.
Yeah. They tried, eh? They tried.
I'm not going to say anything.
They tried, eh? We're supposed to be talking to Alex very soon.
Alex,
he will tell us more about this.
He's a great guy.
He's a great guy. Two independent agencies won Agency of the Year this year at the Louis. Why is that? I mean, is there something there? It's like, I think to your point earlier when you're saying decisions by a committee. So there's no decisions by a committee there.
I think definitely, and I think I'm like, and it's heartening to actually see that, like, the independence, because I mean, like with the likes of, because the agencies I've always like admired, like the likes of like a Joe, let's call like a Joe and Odd Number, because Joe won Agency of the Year, and then obviously Odd Number won Independent Agency of the Year. And there were also others like like Promise, which I've always admired, and kind of came through. Retroviral, Halo, they really came through. Like like Plucky Scrappers, like the Rocky Balboas, like the odds are against them, but they keep showing up. They keep showing up. They just keep doing the stuff. And I think it is to that because they're able to maneuver. They're able to maneuver and make the decisions and be able to, I guess, guide their create their own destinies without too many people being involved.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing. And we've seen it when, how agencies change when they've kind of like sometimes when they get too big, or there's too much of like a foreign influence. And it changes the nature of the agency. It changes the vision of the agency. It changes the kind of agency it is and the work it produces.
Yeah.
So props to all the independents. Got mad love and respect for you, and keep doing your thing.
Yeah. Okay. But now you guys are networks. You guys are teka-ring there. What's happening now?
You know what? I think it's just like it's just there's probably lots of things, but I think there's just something like with we're trying to, I guess, to find our place as agencies that are part of a network. But being able to kind of like work in this kind of context, because it can be tricky because you've got somebody sitting across the shores making decisions where they might not be fully informed. So I think it's time to actually relook that process and go, because there are never ways we could never cut ties, but I think there has to be a level of autonomy and I guess certain decision making, going what's best for you guys. What do you think? Which ways should you be running? Yeah.
And I think also in those rooms, are you also thinking, well, of course you're thinking about your clients, but I think, because I mean, ultimately, I think best creative work solves a lot of, brand challenges and all of that. I think now those guys on behind the across the shores or behind whatever, across the shores, what is it? Across the seas. Across the seas. Across the seas. So because I'm thinking now, are they not thinking like, okay, we need to give our clients the best work there is, in order for us to kind of like maintain these relationships with these brands. Whereas I think playing it safe doesn't as an agency, does playing it safe as an agency sustain the relationship, or what happens there?
I mean, you'll also get different kind of clients. Where some are happy to be there and play it safe because they're gonna sit there. They know 2 years I'll get promoted. I'll look for another job. So they don't ruffle too many things. For them, success is if you sell the products. I mean, you can sell products by using a scratch and sniff competition or whatever it is, or like buy and you can win. But ultimately, it's like what you need. You need the right kind of clients to be able to produce also the right kind of work. And it's also our job as agencies to educate clients on what good work is and what is good for the brand, because you'll find that you'll find people on the other side of the brand, they're there, but if you think about it, in reality actually agencies are the brand custodians, because somebody might move through, be a brand manager, move out, marketing manager, move out, go to another thing. But the agency is still there. So they probably actually end up holding a lot of the IP and knowing the intricacies of what the brand is trying to be, what challenges it faces, what it has been, what it currently is, and what it can become or wants to become. So it has to be something where it's constant communication. And I think with the clients, it's you have to earn their trust before you kind of try and do the audacious stuff. First settle them, let them know their brand is in safe hands, and you kind of move them, you keep moving them. And there's something that a previous MD, Jason Harrison, used to talk about the terror curve, where clients are here, we are here, and we're expecting them to just kind of go, hey. But actually, we need to go back and kind of hold their hands and walk with them along this journey. So that's something that we forget sometimes, or sometimes it's not as easy to do. And I think that's, the onus is on us to be able to do that, to educate our clients.
But also, do we also have like a proper seasoned clients, or these CMOs, and are they, do they know what they're doing? apart from them being bosses, and I can equally say, do you think certain agencies know what the hell they're doing, or they're just getting these clients, these jobs, these brands?
I mean, it's it's as applicable like on both sides, whether clients or agency. And I think you'll find that like because there's a gap between kind of seniors, and I'm talking about both kind of like the corporate world and the agency world, between seniors and the juniors. So because if you don't have a level kind of like that is kind of bridging that to help these people learn who are kind of like at the junior stage. If the people in the middle or even the seniors have got bad habits, they are just going to transfer them down. And then what happens when those people get promoted? They foster bad habits in other people. So I think that's kind of like it's unfortunately it's kind of like it's rampant in both kind of agencies and corporates, and it is again our jobs to call it out when we see it and help to fix that. And like that is only by educating the people, whether in your agency or whether on the client side.
Because I'm asking you this because particularly from the agency side, you are a executive. I mean, you should be creating a certain type of, or crafting a certain type of culture and a certain type of, transferring skill to the young ones that are coming, and
so I mean, like I'm very very pedantic because I'm a copywriter by trade, so I try to foster everything that I've learned from kind of industry kind of like people I've been fortunate to work with, from like Alistair King's, Devin Kennedy's, Gordon Ray, Mike Shalit.
Mike Shalit.
Yeah, Mike Shalit.
Why is Mike?
Oh no, Mike is busy with his foundation, Mal, but also kind of like doing kind of like initiatives like lecturing at like Stellenbosch and other places.
So
I mean, like an Ivan from Network BBDO, like those kind of guys where I learned from. So those people, I try and transfer those lessons that I learned, and it's not they're not the only ones. It's like millions of other people who, not actually even my bosses, but they're my colleagues, where I want to transfer that kind of thinking, that kind of rigor to the work, the passion for the work, so that people know that they actually, and there's nothing I think more satisfying, probably even more satisfying, it is not probably, it is more satisfying than award, when you see somebody who was kind of like you were mentoring come into their own, like realize their potential, and you see them doing good. And for me, that is actually, people talk about their portfolios of work. That's actually your portfolio of work, the people. When you see them and they're doing good, and I think that's the best thing you could ever hope for.
We probably touched on this a little bit. Do we think we have a creative crisis in South Africa?
I think in terms like if we have a creative crisis, I mean, I get worried when I see
because the work is shit.
No, the work is not all shit.
Well, some of it. You know what? In my opinion,
look, not all the work can be good.
Well,
but I think it's again, it's a multitude of factors. But I think, like looking purely from an agency point of view, it's like the talent coming through. And I think the schools need to do better.
Schools,
the colleges that these kids are coming through. Because the craft is there. These kids can design and craft. They can animate like nobody's business. With some of the stuff that we saw, like at the Luries and like being shown, and like hearing people talk about it
during my creative week.
Some of these kids, they could go straight, like the animation students especially, they could go straight to Pixar. Like some of the winning work that you saw, if you like look on the side, like you literally go, how is that a student? But with that craft, and I think because digital like became like a thing. When I say became a thing, it's like it was always a thing, but like suddenly these courses that popped up, digital multimedia, So you don't have pure play copywriters. There's like literally at some stage, I think around about 2019, they were thinking about closing the copywriting course because they only had 2 applicants.
What?
So there are no writers. The writers are community managers. They write social posts, but there's nobody being taught. Nobody's teaching them to think. What is a concept? So there's very few writers, and it's a struggle to find good writers.
Jeez, man.
So that's the crisis. So even kind of like the art directors, less so, but even there aren't as many as they should be. Designers, digital designers. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. And also when you see these kids, they come in and like somebody wants to get hired. You're like, what have you been doing for the past 3 years? Like, no, they've been freelancing. So what freelancing? So and sometimes you don't know if it's by choice or not, but it means that they haven't had the guidance then. you know, to be able to think. So
Yeah.
people know how to execute, but they don't know how to think. So that's why you find that's why then the more now the senior people are spending less time, well, not less, but they've got less time to actively just guide, because that's what CDs and ECDs used to do. Now they also have to get involved in making of the work, and because now juniors have to kind of come in. But if you want to make sure that your juniors, because there's no middle, as I said, there's no middle layer, because I don't know where the middle layer has gone.
Sure.
It's very rare to find. So your best bet now is to find the juniors, and then you make sure that you actively coach them until they become the middle layer that you need.
Right.
And you just keep repeating that, and you hope somebody with deeper pockets doesn't come and snap them up. You know, as soon as they're ready.
Hey.
So
Yeah.
that becomes the thing. So
Yeah.
and I think, you know, with certain kinds of talent, they get promoted too soon because of that, where the company is trying to keep them because another agency is trying to get them.
Exactly.
They get promoted soon because they're good at what they do, but then they get promoted into maybe a creative director, creative group head role, where they don't know how to direct, you know, and kind of give that feedback to develop other people below them. So those are some of the challenges that we face, you know, and those are just internal.
And those are real challenges.
Yeah, those are internal, and they never mind dealing with, like, you know, the client crisis, where, you know, because some clients, those are great, because some who are willing to learn and go, I don't know much about this, but I'm willing to learn. And I want to go on this journey with you. Because some come in and they think they know it all, when they actually don't. They don't even know what a creative idea is.
All right.
And I've had the misfortune of coming across those, but they're very confident in their ignorance. And then the choices they make for the brands are kind of like are poor. But somehow they still retain the jobs. So, but we don't have that luxury of being complacent or being mediocre in our industry.
Yeah, because you interact with different clients. Some of them know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the ones who know what they're doing, they are the best.
They are the best,
Because they also realize that they've come to you because you know what you're doing as an agent, as a specialist within the agency. So, and that's great. And those are kind of relationships that you want to nurture and foster and kind of build upon. And, you know, I think we've definitely got clients like that, you know, including like the Spotify client. You know, shout outs to you, Star.
Shout out to Star. Star is my my producer's friend.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to get Star here.
Yeah, I definitely need to get Star here. Yeah.
But now the thing though, I think with schools, how the relationship between the industry and the school, is that feedback being given back to say, guys, we have an issue. You Vega, you AAA, red and yellow.
I've got.
Well, I'm talking about specialty schools,
like advertising, like colleges.
Yeah.
So I hope it's filtering them. I think it is. When I meet some of the lecturers.
Good luck trying to talk to Vets and UJ.
No. So when I do meet a lecturer from there, I do relay that. I think I've got an art director, Roderick Lager, who's very passionate about that. Like, you know, how the students are learning, because he's judged a couple of students kind of like on student panels at like Lurie's and at Bookmarks as well. And he's like, no, like this is the feedback that needs to get back to the lecturers. Like, your kids they've got the skills. They can animate, they can draw, they can do design, but you're going to be letting them down by not actually developing their thinking and conceptualization skills. So,
and these schools are not cheap, eh?
They are not cheap. They are not cheap.
Yeah. And then now, talent development, where you don't necessarily have, you know, the kids are not coming from specialty schools, you know, and then, but now they want to play in the industry. How do you go about that one?
Like it's again, like you've got to
particularly at Machine. I mean, how do you guys do it? So public on the network. How do you guys deal with that? Are you guys taking, because you are quite clear in terms of, you know, developing or training the kids, you know, and then, but now we are referring back to the schools, and they have some. But now, what about those ones who don't have nothing? They are matriculant, and you're like, I wanna play in this, because I mean, this information is flying around. There's copyright, advertising, art direction, and whatnot. And they wanna play in there, and they don't necessarily have like the funds, or they don't.
So what we do is it's a group. The group also has like a bursary initiative, where kind of like deserving students, like they'll go, okay, if they want to study at one of those places, because those colleges are basically essentially finishing schools. If you want to study there, and cool, if somebody's got the potential, then the group will give them like the bursary to actually go there, and then they'll come and get to work within the group for X amount of years. And then Machine itself also has an initiative called the Forge, where we look at like some of the brighter students, like, you know, in their kind of like it's like around about the second year, if it's a 3-year degree, or even like beginning of first year, where we look at it and we go, okay, cool, great, how's the student going? Okay, we then respond to their studies, you know, if they also need the financial assistance, and then they'll come, and then they know that they've got a job secured when they come back. So it's looking at things like that, but I think the pipeline into the schools even is making the kids aware from high school, from like a grade 10, that there's this opportunity, and that's why Machine, you know, is kind of like involved with Ganyezi's initiative Blackboard. So where, you know, because Blackboard goes to schools, Ikasi. So, and like they do in Joburg and Cape Town. And like the kids, we organize, like now we had one in Cape Town about 2 weeks ago. There's going to be another one in our Joburg office, like
it's called
next week. Blackboard.
Blackboard.
Yeah, so Nkanyezi Masango's initiative. I think it started over like a decade ago.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's basically like, then they'll get kids from the schools, Ekasi, and we'll actually like take them through like what's the ins and outs of advertising, so they know what happens there, and they know, okay, cool, great, actually maybe I could be good in strat, maybe I could be good in production, or maybe I like copywriting or design or art direction or digital, the digital side. So they get to know from like an early age, so that, because too often they only find out about advertising after matric, once they kind of gone, but it's something that they could have cultivated and built their studies, their choice of subjects towards in high school. So that's how you kind of go. You have to find the talent in different places.
Well, the fact that your mother is a teacher is coming through now.
Yes.
So you also have that thing there. You're about teaching.
Yeah, no, like I think maybe it is. Coming from like my mother's a teacher. But I think, you know, what I really love, what I definitely know, as I said, like there's nothing for me no greater joy than seeing somebody who you're mentoring come into their own. You know, like, and you go, yeah, you're part of their journey, and you can see they can stand up on their own 2 feet, and they're amazing at what they do. But also, I think in terms of the people, that when they come through and they've got this hunger to learn, and I think that's also what my mother instilled in me as a teacher. You know, she's like, never stop being inquisitive, never stop learning. I think there's that sign at red and yellow, which that's always studied in my mind, be a sponge. Like, so that's why I'm absorbing things, and that's what I encourage my teams to do. Is like never stop being curious. Like, go out there, and you know, the ideas don't just come from you sitting at a desk and Googling stuff. Like, live life, experience things, always try out new things, because that'll form part of who you are, and in that then you use that cultural capital to be able to create these things that didn't exist before. And I think that's part of the magic of advertising. You're basically a magician, conjuring things out of thin air that didn't exist before.
Right.
And again, like I say, where else do you get to do that on a daily basis?
Yes, that's a beautiful. That's a liberating, man. It's, you were telling me about how your mother was kind of like shocked when you were when you used the word igricha.
Oh, yes, for one of, I think an ad for, was it for MWeb? Probably like, when was it? Like, probably, like 10 years ago. She was like, what is this? When I was writing about MWeb, and there's a radio ad about how now, because MWeb has got these low kind of prices for internet fiber, you know, you had like these witches, you know, kind of like, and warlocks going, they could send cast spells through your Facebook inbox and your Twitter DMs. So, but using, again, like I like using the influences, we're talking about like the cultural capital, tapping into what you know, because in Xhosa folklore, there's this thing. So Igwicha is a witch. But so Amagwicha, that cavern, there's this place in the Eastern Cape called Guadana.
Yeah.
It's like this
I've
forest.
heard of it, yeah. But
It's reputed to be where the witches congregate.
Oh, shucks.
You know, like at 2 or 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So the whole ad was like around that, and they're discussing how,
Jeez, man.
you know, MWeb, you know, it's going to allow them to make like things easier because they got this cheap internet. So my mother was like, where are you getting, you know, she's a God-fearing woman, goes to church. It's like, where are these ideas about Tamakwecha coming from? It's like, it's just a radio ad. Well, like I'm literally from the stories told me by my grandmother. I'm using that kind of thing. Yeah. And funny enough, that ad got pulled. Shame.
Jeez, man.
Every client.
Ndibulisile magqwirha nakuni bathakathi. Enkosi ngokuza namhlanje. Ndiyayazi kuba nzima ngamanye amaxesha ukuza kwezintlanganiso zethu apha eGwadana. Kakade uphi uManqonde?
Uwe ekhethini lowo. Kwakhona.
Hayi asinawuthini ke, masiqhubekeke. Makhe siqale ngokuqhwabela uJambase. Kuye igqwirha elibalaseleyo kule inyanga. Uphethe wadlula kummiselo wenani labantu ekufuneka benze izithunzela.
Thatha mthakathi thatha.
Ezikhuthazayo zizokuba sine MWeb internet ngoku. Lo nto bathakathi ithetha ukuba ngoku siyakwazi ukuthumela isimnyama ngetweet okanye umuntu simthumela uvutha kwi-inbox yakhe kuFacebook. Asishiyeki kaloku bantu bobumnyama. Sikude emaqabeni.
Fumana i-MWeb internet ekhawulezayo nefikelelekayo elungele iimfuno zakho ukusukela kuma-2,000 erandi ngenyanga. MWeb, xhumana unakho ukho imiqathango nemiyalelo.
They complained.
It complained, like, it didn't get pulled because the ASA kind of like went fine. It was one guy, where was it? In Hermanus. What is his name? His name was Doug. I think his name was Doug.
Yeah.
But he was part of, he said...
Black
he was-
guy?
No,
White
it's a
guy?
white guy. He's head of the Pagan Rights Alliance. And he said, as a witch, he found this offensive.
Oh, wow.
I cannot make this up.
Jeez. Yeah.
So, but I mean, like, that's what like I do. Like, I like to use what I know. Like, even a campaign at Machine we did for You Cook, where we targeted in Cape Town, Xhosa speakers on Halloween. And like, you're like, how does it even come together? But like, it does, because it's attached to something where there's like a saying, "Usathana kalale ngatyanga," the devil doesn't sleep until they've had their fill. And basically, it's a light-hearted take, and we just like targeted to people who've always got hot takes, like on Twitter, you know, like never malicious, but it's just like they always be like roasting people or have these comments. And because You Cook wanted to actually target like a new segment, because they had their base, but going, how do we tap into this audience? But again, you tap into the audience by something that they're familiar with, you know, maybe give it a new spin, and that's what we did, and it was like a success. So like that, again, I always encourage my people, it's like, it's tap into what you know. And tap in what you know about people. And that's what makes it kind of like, makes the work interesting. And I think, if anything, you know, we never make interesting or boring work, and it's work that has, I said, like, has an impact, you know, whether it's kind of like an impact in people's lives, whether it makes them feel a certain way, or see things in a new light.
Twitter is Twitter. That's now what X now. X is your base, eh? Because I remember you've had something there. What's?
Oh, I forgot even to.
You had this. What is this? Colleague 1 and Colleague 2.
Oh, Colleague 1 and Colleague 2. Yeah. So an agency was at for like the longest time. And they just, because the agencies are filled with like banter. So then somebody built a bot to follow this, because I used to just tweet Colleague 1 and Colleague 2. The things being said in there, you know, like the one time, I don't know what was happening, we were sitting just having lunch, and then somebody was disagreeing with the opinion of somebody, and I think based on a soccer team. And then this person was like, I will go to your hometown, befriend all your friends, and marry your childhood sweetheart, and get your family to ostracize you. So this is the kind of banter you would just have. Or it's like somebody would be like, no, like somebody would be talking, they're like, it's like somebody was like, they got asked like, have you accepted the scheduler for the meeting? And the person was like, no, I've only accepted Christ. So they treat these kind of banter, colleague one, colleague two. So then somebody built a bot that would then kind of like, would always when it saw those words, it would aggregate it and start kind of like sharing it and like repeating it. So.
Jeez.
And then even when I left, my colleagues created this card.
Yeah.
It was like kind of like colleague one, colleague two in that kind of format. So, but yeah, I forgot that link. I'll share it.
Please share the link with me. Yeah, we can show our vouchers here. Yeah. Jeez, man. Wow.
But I mean, that's the kind of thing, you know. You want agencies that are like that, have got that spirit, that yes, you know, where you can have that kind of thing going on.
Yeah, just to man, make it a little bit, humorous. I mean, you spoke about like humor, that you need to bring in humor. I think humor is one big part of I think selling brands. Yeah. Particularly in South Africa. South Africa, we are a young, well, not even South Africa, Africa, I think as a whole, we are a young continent. So humor is part of our thing. And you see on social media now when, South Africans will make fun about the most serious of things. They'll make it like turn into a joke. I think, and maybe that could be the best way. I think apparently that was something that came out of Ken this year to say, okay, guys, let's have
fun. Let's have fun again. Yeah. And I think that has been one, because I think South Africans in general, that's why like the likes of Fernando's kind of like have tapped into that. Yeah. Where we use humor to actually make it through the difficult times. So even when things kind of seem grim, you sort of like load shedding. Yeah. Where people like it's like when they release a schedule, where there might be like a load shedding stage 16 people. What is that? Is that when they come to your bride and take the call? Or is that when you have to take your car to jumpstart the power station? Yeah. So that's and I think that's also one of our superpowers as SA. We have these absurd takes on absurd situations. Yeah.
Jeez, man, I think lovely, man. I think I don't know. Do you have anything that you wanna that I didn't maybe ask you that I didn't touch on?
No, I think you covered most of it, and I think what's I said like I think just was a parting shot is the thing about our creativity, like because everybody's got a think piece now on the creativity crisis in SA, and I don't think it's really a crisis. It's more kind of going. It's just for time for us to just kind of like take a look in the mirror and realize just who the fuck we are and know who we are and translate that into the work.
Right. Yeah. Beautiful. I think one last thing before we close it off. I speak a lot about. Even in my circle, imposter syndrome. Oh. I don't think I'm good enough. Even here, I talk to people. I always feel like, oh shit, this episode, should I can it? Should I? I don't even. I think even when I was in agency side or client side, I never thought, I'm good enough. Like I always like, fuck, I'm second guessing myself and whatnot. I think yet other people will see like, yo man, this is dope. Man, you're doing great work and whatnot. But you don't necessarily see what's up with that. What is that? Where does that come from? And how do you deal with it in your?
It's a very good kind of like a question. Like it's because I think I also struggle with it. Never thinking that something is good enough, and I think which is good in a sense because you're always going to strive to make it better. But it becomes crippling when the self-doubt is too much and overwhelms you and kind of prevents you from even getting started or prevents you from making a decision. Yeah. So I think the best way to do it is to kind of overcome it is to just keep creating. Keep creating. Yeah. So even when you've got that doubt, you go, let that doubt, use that as fuel and not as a stumbling block. Yeah. I know it's easier said than done sometimes, but go, when you have that doubt, you go, let me do it. And I think what I've figured out is that the exceptional pretend they're ordinary, while the ordinary think that they're exceptional.
Jeez, that's power.
So, and I think sometimes when you like the people like kind of like dim their light because of the others around them, but actually no, it's like stand in the light of your higher self. Yeah. And for me, it's you know, when you talk about things that are actionable, just keep doing, keep creating.
Yeah.
And that's how you'll get over it for that stage, because I don't think it ever fully goes away.
No, it doesn't.
But keep creating.
Yeah.
And, you know, I said, like, you know, your show is amazing. As you said, like, you know, sometimes you think like, oh, like, and you judge it too harshly.
Yeah, no.
And that's because you wanted to be good. You wanted to be better than good.
Yeah.
Each time you wanted to get better. So
and I ran this thing on LinkedIn, man. I promote this on LinkedIn, and like there's a lot of people there who, well, I mean, I haven't been shattered on yet.
Yeah.
You know, no one has ever actually said to me, "Oh, you doing like this is shit. What are you doing?" You know. But I think, but I do know that, you know, there are some people that might say, "Oh, this thing is not there yet," or whatnot, and you know. But I think for me, you know, Rick Rubin, right? Yeah. He talks about how when you're creating something and you're creating for oneself, you know, when I'm creating for myself, like, fuck, man, I love this. I mess with this thing, so I'm gonna keep doing it because I'm doing it for me. You can't judge me. You can't tell me this shit ain't good enough because it's for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think with doing that, you then get better with it at time, you know, with it, you know. So
yeah, and I mean it's tough being, who's it? I think was it Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
It's got that, what's that quote? The man in the arena. Because when you're in there, usemsini phayana, and you're the one doing the work.
Right.
You've got that mud on your face and the smoke.
Yeah.
Everybody else is around you critiquing, but the critics aren't creating. Yeah. So fuck the critics.
Fuck the critics.
So
man.
There's a difference between constructive criticism and somebody just critiquing because they aren't the ones who are able to create.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I haven't gotten critics yet. Yeah. I don't know, but you know, I think critics are good. You know, you got.
As I said, there's a difference. You know, where the critique is to help build it because it's acknowledging what's working and telling you what could be better, as opposed to somebody just shitting on it and they've got no valid reason or they're not telling you how to make it better. Yeah. So ignore the latter. Yeah. Listen to the former.
100. Yeah. Cool, man. Thank you, brother, for hanging out with us. I really appreciate it. Jeez, man, I like this. You are so calm. You made me calm.
What do you mean? I was nervous as hell.
We're going to have to edit this one out. Make me calm. Jesus. No Didi. No Didi. Didi in the house. Jesus Christ.
Is this baby oil? What?
Jesus, what the hell? Jeez, man, on that note, yo, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Culture Code, Jabu Sigege, a group executive creative director at Machine. We had a good chat. Really enjoyed myself. Jebs, thank you very much, my brother.
Cool, thanks, Debs.
Yeah, cool, man.
Thanks for having the show, my man.
Thank you, brother. Thank
cool.
you, thank you,
Yeah.
Peace. Cool.
The stories are being told by the culture. Culturally, how people think is slowly dictating what the advertisers want to move towards. It needs to catch up, but what you find is that marketers who need to implement the speed are backwards themselves. Marketers who are not forward thinkers. We need brave marketing or marketers that can influence culture.